Oh, well, it's so good to see you.
Me too.
So good. I mean, what's going on in your world? I'm so curious because I'm hearing people are throwing all kinds of big things at me. Like, it's big right now, right? There's so many shifts happening, and I think everybody's feeling it. So, fill me in on your end. What's going on?
Well, it's like the convergence of everything all at once into one moment. It's like I feel like everything that I've been interested in and participating in and cultivating my whole life is all coming into play right now.
How magical. How amazing is that? I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. It's overwhelming at times. Let me ask you, how's your sleep?
My sleep has actually been good at nighttime, but also regular throughout the day too. Like I get knocked out, I don't know, every hour or two, and I just have to like zone out, clear energy, and then it's like this amazing. It's like I get really heavy, and then I just have to like lie down. And luckily, I work for myself pretty much, so I can do it. Like I don't have like clients scheduled throughout the day, so it might be different for you, but I can just lie down, I zone out, and then like this whole like I get like this warp energy thing like flowing through me, and like it's like a energetic vomiting almost, and then I'm left with this like crazy kundalini buzzy like bliss energy afterwards, and it's just it's wacko. So it's been it's like been hard for me to get out of the sleep is different. It's like it's deep, and it takes me a long time to get out of that deep zone. Like I've been waking up in the morning, and it's just like I'm kind of in that space for a much longer period of time. So there's just a lot that's I think this because we're just processing a lot right now.
So much. And I mean, I ask because I obviously, I work with people all week long and they bring all their issues to me.
Mhm.
And I cannot tell you across the board, literally 100% of the people that I talked to last week are struggling with sleep.
Okay.
And not in a sense of like, feeling anxious or, but just people who are great sleepers are all of a sudden like, I can't sleep or I'm knocked out all day. My energy is totally up and down, but I'm needing to take naps. I took a nap today. I never nap.
Hmm.
So I think, I mean, I really do think it has a lot to do with the cosmic waves that are coming through.
Yeah.
We've had some pretty massive fluctuations in the KP index, solar storms. We're having a lot of solar energy, and that's plasma streaming in, and then this mystery comet that NASA can
Yeah.
identify, that Three Eye Atlas, which is crossing. I mean, I think it's the 21st of October that it's supposed to be coming into like entering our solar, like it's going to be behind our sun, basically like stacked and lined up with Earth and sun. And then on the 29th, it's going to be the closest to Earth that it's predicted to be. But it's weird because it's got a totally different trajectory than any comet ever has, which tells us it's coming from outside, way outside of our solar system. It's never been classified before. And when I've tuned into it, it is like something so freaking magical. I never want to tune out. Like when I cannot sleep at night, I am like, all right, Three Eye Atlas, let's play, and I'm tapping in. And it is the most calming resonance that I've ever felt. I go back to sleep, but I keep waking up and wanting to go back and tune in to this energetic, this frequency that's coming into our sphere. And I think it's seeding our consciousness. A whole other level of consciousness is about to awaken on this planet. And I think well, we know we're being kept in the dark by the controllers, what's really going on, the protests that are happening apparently all over the world that we're not seeing in mainstream media, but people are highly activated and highly charged. So, like you're saying, everything's culminating for you in your life that you've been working on at one time. I think that's the collective energy right now. It's this culmination of all these different energetics, all these frequencies, all these different densities, all this wisdom, this knowledge from ancient knowledge. I mean, this Three Eye Atlas is ancient. This is way beyond Lemuria, beyond Atlantis, beyond what we talk about, historically on this planet. It is a consciousness that is so far beyond, so old. So it's really interesting that you're feeling this, this culmination of all these energies now in your life. I think it's happening on this planet on a big scale. I'm so excited.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Totally ready. 100% ready. No more. I don't. There's nothing to plan or prepare. I'm just completely ready.
And that's a funny thing is like I feel the same way. And I mean, this is coming from a prepper, right? I was prepping since 2012. I've got food stored. We've got water, like thousands of gallons of water stored, and all kinds of things that for years been preparing. And it's so funny now. I'm just laughing at myself. Like, what did I need to prepare for? This is all about consciousness.
Yeah.
This isn't about lack. This isn't strife. I hope I don't see that timeline right now, but yeah, no, this is all about consciousness. But what's interesting, that I know I mentioned to you in our group chat, was this humming
Mm.
vibration that is coming from this comet. And I hesitate to call it a comet because I don't even think they've actually officially deemed it a comet. I don't know how they know that the scientists are saying it has an enormous amount of carbon dioxide ice, which is so interesting, and H2O. So coming from where? Like if it's not coming from Mars, if it's not coming from within, well, the Van Allen belt or within our immediate cosmos, then it's bringing water and CO2 from another place, which is so exciting. But I don't know what it is that's causing this humming, but I keep hearing it and I'm hearing it every day. And
Wow.
and when I hear you, you are a good omer. You really know how to oh I suck at it, but you're really good at it. And when you do, and I've heard you do in the past, I can hear all the notes. It's like all the colors of the rainbow at once. And
Mm.
that is what this ship or whatever we're calling it,
Wow.
this entity, this being, this consciousness that is moving into our plane, our earth plane, is delivering, is this harmonic resonance like nothing I've ever experienced.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should. I should see if I can be inspired by what you're describing and summon some sounds today
Yes.
that that could be inspired by that feeling.
Yes. Well, and it's as we've talked about in the past, this humming that when we hum,
Mhm.
right? This is supposed to regulate our nervous system. And there's a vibration that happens that harmonizes, inside of our skull that harmonizes the left and the right brain hemispheres. It activates the pineal gland, activates the throat chakra, the thymus. It's like it drops right into the heart center if we're
Mhm.
talking on the chakra plane. But that oming and humming is something that is so calming. And it's like the human can just surrender, right? We can just drop into these notes and feel refreshed.
Well, I think it's the reminder of our essence of where of our soul vibration. It what brings our attention from all of these differentiated external kinds of experiences and reminds us of the primordial vibrational state from whence we come. And I think that's why it's so powerful. It's like there's something in our subconscious or superconscious that gets woken. Oh, I remember that. That feels so good. It reminds me of what do I call it? Home.
It does. It's like drumming, right? There's something when humans hear drums,
Hmm.
it does something
Yeah.
to us on a soul level. Whether you have traveled to these places where drumming still happens, or you're at a festival in your local town and there's a drum circle, it beckons us. It
Yeah.
calls us home within ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember when I first stepped on the continent of Africa for the first time, and my feet touched the soil of Morocco is where I went. And I've been listening to African inspired music my entire life. I've primarily been inspired by jazz and blues and funk and everything with sort of vibrational roots there. And just stepping onto the land, I could feel the pulsation of the earth, like just the subtle unstruck drums of the land vibrating through my feet, and all of a sudden, all the music that I'm listening to all of my life made much more sense to me. So it's I think the for me like the I'm just sort of spontaneously jamming on this concept right now, but if I were to try and articulate it, I think the drumming reminds me of my connection with the earth and Mother Earth and the land and the minerals and the vibrations out of which the physical body is born. And the sound, the humming, the vibration, the harmony calls me to my spiritual self, to my soul essence.
It's so well said. I mean, it makes me think just listening to you talk about it. And clearly, you have such an eloquence in when you speak about sound. You're so knowledgeable about it. But I feel like sound is geometry in motion.
It is.
Right?
It is. That's perfect. Perfectly stated. Yes.
It's because I mean, it's like you get visuals when you hear certain sounds. I
Yes.
mean, in this room that I'm in right now, I host these master classes and I do these sound journeys. And, there's such a resonance between the mirror behind me, the windows, everything. The sound bounces and reverberates in this room. And everyone says they see geometric shapes and colors. And it's almost like they're hallucinating when they close their eyes and they enter this state of just receiving the sound on a cellular level. So, yeah,
Well, I think what I experience when I have these more transcendent experience of sound is a sort of a there's a couple kinds of geometry. I think one is a fractalization, like almost like a it's not almost it is it's a DMT trip, but but except
totally.
it's a natural DMT trip. So instead of it being um, uh, catalyzed by an external substance to which I take. We just again we come into resonance with ourselves, with our third eye, and with all our chakras come into balance, and the when everything is of the perfect sort of resonance and state, something clicks, a button gets pressed, something gets unleashed, and the divine nectar starts to flow, and the the beautiful patterns start to emerge.
The divine nectar starts to flow. I love that so much. Well, because there's a reason they call it sound bathing, right?
Hmm.
You get washed. It's like
Yeah.
all your troubles wash away.
Yeah, the
The,
sound's not just in our ears, it's the whole body. You know, we hear with our whole body. Our whole body is a resonant mechanism and not only our body, all of our subtle bodies, all of our inner subtle, you're talking about all of these other strands of DNA which are awakening within us. I think there's all of these other bodies which we have, which are connected to us, and the more subtle and more attuned we get, it's the sound is it's physical, but it's actually reminding us of something that's spiritual in nature. It's bringing us back to our essential vibratory primordial state, I could say.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, the question is, what's that age-old saying that if the tree falls in the forest
Hmm.
and nobody hears it, does it actually make a sound? Sound is intended to be received.
Mm.
Right? I think that there's an intention to that receptivity, and we are so receptive to it. Animals, as you know, being in the horse world now, they're so receptive to sound.
Yes.
Dogs, obviously, we know that, but all animals, they perceive sound from on a level that we don't even perceive. And I wonder if it's that they feel it rather than even hear it.
Mm.
That they feel the vibration before they even hear it.
Yeah, I think the notion of receiving sound, but not just receiving sound, receiving emotions, receiving feelings, receiving vibrations of different kinds, receiving thoughts. It makes it's actually the listening which brings into existence the creativity, I think, because I've noticed my own sort of creativity and conversational ability in the company of different people. Like around you, you listen my thoughts and my experiences and my sounds into existence. If I was around somebody who was not tuned into what I'm feeling, I would feel empty. I'd feel stifled. I'd feel almost dumb. It's like, is there anything inside of me at all that is worth articulating or saying? And so I've noticed that how I experience my own creativity is almost 100% connected with who's around listening.
Such a good point. I mean, you literally hit the nail on the head and couldn't have articulated that more beautifully. I think it's because we are all humans are walking resonance chambers.
Mm,
I mean, it's like what I've seen and I truly believe is under all of the pyramids around the world. There are vaults that are intended to be resonance chambers.
Yeah.
to not only receive sound, but to almost store a resonance of harmonics that help recalibrate and harmonize our planet. Maybe even preventing cataclysmic ELEs. You
Mm.
know, I really believe that it's also bringing in photonic energy from lightning, from storms, from plasma waves, from CMEs, and that we are microcosms of that macrocosm. And I think the ancients understood that, which is why they used sound. I mean, I really believe, and I've come to believe it's the only way, other than maybe like, you know, aliens, extraterrestrials building these structures. I really believe that they were built using sound resonance. Same thing with
Mm.
Stonehenge. How did they move these stones from how many kilometers away, And it doesn't make sense, the narrative what we've been told, at least with the pyramids. The irrigation system and floating on papyrus. I mean, we're talking about, 3-ton plus stones from 60 kilometers away. So
Yeah.
I really believe sound can create that levitation that is required for movement on a whole other level. And I mean, I think people who spend a lot of time in the ocean have a really great understanding of that resonance. Have you ever been diving before?
Well, not exactly, but I spent a lot of time in the ocean. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to go too deep to understand that sensory experience of like all those the resonance of the water around you and then all the sounds of everything inside of the water. I don't even know what's creating all that sound, but you feel it in your body, right? There's literal resonance within.
Yeah. One of the metaphors that I like about also the ocean too, just speaking of that, is the notion that on the surface there's all these waves and it can be very choppy, and all you have to do is just go a couple of feet below, and all of a sudden there's just profound, deep stillness and peace. And I think so often, consciousness, we keep our attention at the surface of the water, and our entire well-being is determined by what's happening at the surface. But if we were to go deeper within ourselves and find that ocean of peace, then the surface ripples will just be ripples on the top of that oceanic sense of wonder and beauty, and not we don't identify with them. It's just tickling on the top of our scalp or something.
Speaking of, you gave me goosebumps from head to toe again.
Love
Oh,
that.
goosebumps. They're the truth bumps. Oh, I love
Goosebumps.
that so much. No, you're so right. And that's the intention. That's what they want is to keep us distracted in the noise of the surface. Because once we go deeper, and it doesn't take much, I mean, it doesn't take much to drive a human into the space within and where the soul rises and the heart starts synchronizing with the breath, and then boom, you can teleport,
Yeah.
and we can go anywhere. So, well, let's play around with some sound. I
All
want
right.
to take
Let's
this
see. Well, what should we
deeper.
do? Okay. I want to maybe just we can explore the we're talking about the geometry of sound. So I want to bring up my software that I've created. Give me one moment here while I get that up. Okay. I do this. All right. Pardon me for the this is my
No,
first time doing this
I'm loving
live.
I am because I
Okay.
work with I work with gongs and drums and crystal singing bowls, and it's so different from the sounds that you have started creating. I mean, a similar thing happens in the body, except I mean, that experience that you gave me when I had the headphones on,
Oh
listening
yeah.
to the Infinitone, I had never heard sounds like that in my life.
Well, we could do one of those live at the end.
That would be so.
Little sound bath. And then maybe try and connect with this entity that's nearing us and see if we can, I don't know, just be inspired by that resonance and maybe get into communication with it. I don't know.
I love that idea. I love that idea.
So this is my software that I've created called Infinitone 2, and it's a microtonal synth instrument for music producers. And I just want to I'm going to bring up something called the harmonic series. Let's see. Harmonic series. kind of sound do we have here? I'm gonna put the sound. Can you hear that?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I should put on this should be, it's probably better. Okay.
Wow. And if anyone listening has headphones, this would probably be a good thing to plug into, right?
Yeah, definitely. I would put in headphones, and also I would, yeah, watch this too. If you're listening on audio, I would. This is the part that's good to watch because there will be visuals involved. So one of the things that I'd like to talk about in general is I want to address the notion of frequency. So, excuse me. There's a lot of information online about healing frequencies, and I know you have a lot of experience with them too, Hilda, and that you use certain kinds of frequent healing frequencies to achieve certain kinds of effects. And there's a lot that I don't know about that, and I think there's also a lot of things about frequency that other people who are talking about this also don't know that I know. And so I'd love to just sort of open up a dialogue between your experience and my experience and see if we can combine our collective knowledge and experience in healing and frequency and resonance and come to a better understanding of how these things work, how they can be applied, and what parameters are necessary for them to be effective in a healing or medical kind of situation, and also just a personal aesthetic situation. Like what really is at play here? So I'd first like to just address the notion of resonance, as we talked about before. And the primary vehicle for exploring resonance in a musical sense is something called the harmonic series. And the harmonic series is something that we create every time that we speak. So if I say ah, it sounds like I'm making a single tone, but actually what's happening is I'm making infinite tones, which is where I got the name of my software for, Infinitone. And what's happening is there's a fundamental frequency. Let's see. In this case, if you can hear that, that's 50 hertz. That's pretty low. Maybe do a little bit higher for those listening on smartphones. That's a little lower. Hopefully that will be okay for a smartphone person. If you can't hear that on your smartphone, please put on headphones. Anyway, so this is the fundamental frequency. 75 hertz. Now, within that tone, there's actually more tones. They're called harmonics. And so if I start at 75, actually, you know what I'm going to do, just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to put on 100 hertz. So the harmonics follow a very, very simple pattern that even doctorates in music and some of the most great masters of music that I've ever met, and audio engineers and mastering engineers, people don't know. And even it's the most fundamental concept kind of in sound because we use this to communicate. So the way to determine the harmonics is just to count numbers. It's the consecutive integers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I'm playing 100 hertz right here, the next harmonic is the next integer. So if it's a ratio of 1 to 2 and I have 100 hertz, then the next harmonic is 200 hertz. And then the harmonic above that is 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. And it just goes on like that. 900, 900, 1,000, 1,100, etc. And so every time that we communicate with our voice, we're generating this exact pattern every time. Every human being does it. That's how we communicate. And it's the difference in the levels of these harmonics and how they modulate, which gives the individuality of our voice. And so the reason why this works is because it creates something that's called a polyrhythm. Are you following me? Should I keep talking? Do you have any questions? Do you want to interject?
No, I'm totally focused and learning so much. I love it.
Awesome. Okay, so what's happening here actually when there's 100 hertz playing, 200 hertz playing, is a frequency is really, it's just a rhythm. So it's something that's oscillating, which means something that's repeating itself over and over and over again in a relatively recognizable pattern. So our brains are sort of our inner receptive capabilities are pattern recognizers. So if we see something or hear something that's happening and it's pretty similar in nature and it's happening over and over again, we recognize that as a frequency or as a pattern. So if I clap like that and I clap again, I keep clapping, that's about a frequency of about 1 hertz, which is 1 second. Now, if I do double that, that's 2 hertz. So what's happening here is it's actually, if I play 1 hertz and 2 hertz together, I don't know how to do this on the microphone. I'll snap. I'll hit my chest and snap. So I'm hitting my chest in 1 hertz and snapping at about 2 hertz. And what's happening is there's this oscillation pattern that's happening. Every 2 beats, the snap and the tap on the chest are combining. And so our receptive mechanisms in our body, our resonance mechanisms, are recognizing, hey, there's a recognizable pattern here. It's very simple. One hand's going at one pace and the other hand's going twice the speed, and it's reconnecting every time, in a very regular interval. So we recognize that as a pattern. We recognize that as something that has a sort of a tangible, recognizable geometry, you could say, in some sense. And so if I were to have a program, which I actually do, I'll have to get it up next time, where I can take a pattern like that and speed it up to 100 times a second, you would hear frequencies. It would go faster and faster. You would hear it actually turn into, it would go from rhythm like that. And so all that's happening with these sound waves is this is creating a sound wave, which is a repetitive pattern at 100 hertz, which is 100 cycles per second. This one's creating a sound wave, which is 200 cycles per second. It means that thing is oscillating 200 times in a second. And I put them together, and it creates that very resonant pattern which in modern musical technology, we call it the octave. In harmonic speak, we call it 2 to 1, because it's a ratio of 2 to 1, 100 hertz to 200 hertz. And so this is the genesis of all music. It's living within the sound of our own voice. And so if I keep going up, I get newer kinds of intervals. So from 1 to 2, and then I go 2 to 3, that's the musical fifth. Bum, 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 bum. And that is the very basis of all of our modern Western music, is that interval right here. And then if you keep going up from 1 to 3, 3 to 4, you get the interval of the perfect fourth. And from 4 to 5, you get a major third. Dum, dum, dum. And then from 4, 5, 6, you get a major chord. Dum, dum, dum. And so within our own voice is the very foundation of music itself. So all we're doing essentially is we're extracting these polyrhythms, these harmonic resonance patterns, and isolating them to create different kinds of colors and relationships. So now I can keep going up. I go 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8. And as I go higher and higher and higher in the harmonic series, the intervals get closer and closer and closer, and essentially it goes up to infinity. So there's actually an infinite number of harmonic resonance intervals that we can create, and each one has its own sort of color, its own emotion associated with it. So if you're watching along with the podcast and you can see there's actually a visualizer here which is showing the relationships of these. And every time they go up, they get more and more complex. And then I can put my hands anywhere on the keyboard just randomly. And they all create this their own unique, very beautiful sort of sacred geometric pattern. And so when we were talking earlier about actually music is geometry, well, it literally is creating geometric resonance patterns in the air if we are using harmonics for our harmony. Now, here comes the problem. Should I keep going, or do you want to interject?
No, I love this. Keep going.
Okay, awesome. Excuse me. So, there's a problem though with Western music. A very big problem, a very massively great, horrible problem that no one's talking about and no one's addressing, and it's I think probably a reason for a large part of our disease and disharmony and discord in humanity right now. And the reason for that is in most Western music there is what's called the 12 tone equal temperament, or 12 EDO, 12 equal divisions of the octave. And essentially what that is it takes the octave and divides it into 12 equal pieces. Now, that's convenient because it means that you can play music in all different keys, and it's, if you're making an instrument, you only have 12 notes. But actually, those tones are actually very much out of tune because they're not in alignment with the harmonics. So I'm gonna do a little demonstration now, and I'm gonna change the sound. Let's see, we'll use this so you can hear the harmonics more. I'm gonna play a set of harmonic tones, and then I have this little knob here. It's called 12 EDO morph, and what it's going to do is it's going to compare harmonic tuning, which is creating music and harmony based on the harmonic series, with our standard tuning, and you can see and hear the difference. So that is our current harmonic system, visualized and heard. Sliding back in tune.
Feel good to my body. It's
Yeah.
like,
And so all the music that we heard, all the pianos, all the guitars, all of the synthesizers, all the band instruments are tuned to this hyper chaotic, completely discordant, tempered, which actually means tampered, tuning system. They've detuned each of the intervals such that nothing in our musical system is actually in tune ever.
so it's not because people talk about, 220 hertz versus, or I'm sorry, 440
Yeah.
hertz, that we're supposed to be listening in one hertz, but we're listening in 440 or something. And I never really understood that. This makes more sense to me because that sounded completely discordant. And
Yeah.
it felt chaotic to me because when I work with frequency, I mean, God, there's so many different hertz you'll play with that doesn't sound discordant like that.
Yeah. So,
How did
okay,
that
so I'm just going to do a little demo. I'm going to put this on the fundamental frequency here. I'll put it on, let's see. So 440, if you divide it by 2, you're putting the octave down. That's 220. If you divide it by 2 again, it's 110.
Right.
Um, so that's 440, right? Now I'm going to put this down a little bit into 432. If you divide 432 by 2, it's 216. If you divide that by 2, it's 108.
The
So
Maya.
so now I'm going to play that at 432, which is, tuning. Sorry. Okay. So that's a very minor difference. But a big difference in sound would be if I were to put this 12 EDO morph knob up and then play. Now I'm playing in 432 tuning. It's completely out of tune. I'll put it in actually this other tune. And now I'll put that back snap it into tune. So basically what's happening now is all of these musicians, there's thousands of them. Everybody I meet, somehow this information is propagated on the internet about moving your music into 432, but all you're doing really is you're taking a really, really out of tune, discordant, dysfunctional system and just pitching it down a little bit. So it's a little bit lower. And so it doesn't really make anything that they're doing doesn't make any sense acoustically.
It did feel different in my body though, slightly, ever so
Yes.
slightly. But I mean, and I honestly, I gotta be honest, like I felt kind of anxious with what you just played. Like it created anxiety in the center of my chest. So fascinating.
Oh, with the you mean with the out of tune, like with this tuning, this the that.
Yes.
So that's in 432 tuning.
Wow. Okay.
So but then but that's 432 harmonic tuning.
Yeah.
So putting it back. And so whether I'm at 432 or 440, that's 12 standard 12 tuning. That's harmonic tuning. So what the conversation is here is frequency and harmony is about relationship. It's about one thing relating to another thing. So I don't think that there's anything magical in a particular frequency because it's isolated. It's like what in relationship to what are we creating that frequency? It's like Einstein's. It's sort of like the theory of relativity. If you're driving and if there's two trains going, close to the speed of light and one's going a little bit faster than the other, and you look over to the other train, it'll look like you're just going a little bit faster, right? But you could both be going, close to the speed of light, but because of the relationship of your train to the other train, it just looks like you're going slowly. And so if any frequency needs a relational element, and so the question is that I ask about all these frequencies thing is say we're using 528 or say we're using 432, it's just a unit of measurement. So it's like 12 inches versus 12 centimeters or 12 hertz. I could make up another frequency unit, like say 1 hertz is no longer, 1 second. It's actually 1.634 seconds. And I call them Subhraags instead of hertz. Then what is 432 turning? And if if the unit of frequency measurement is actually 1.6 seconds and not 1 second. And so what we're talking about here is there's two things. One is numerology, which is completely different from harmony and frequency, because I do believe numbers have energy. And if we are associating a number with something like a hertz measurement, and we're just putting in the number 432 or 108 or whatever it is, that does have an effect, because I do feel the numerological effect of it, just having that number present. But the frequency content is what is my unit of measurement, and why, and B, what is the relationship between that frequency and the other frequencies that are happening in relationship to it within its perceptive field. Does that make sense? Those two.
Makes perfect sense. And it just goes back to what you were saying about being in a conversation with someone who you're aligned with, who you're resonating with, literally resonating with,
Yeah,
that it expands your consciousness, it opens your heart, and it magnifies your entire experience of
yeah,
being in that conversation. Whereas, falling on deaf ears with someone who's not in alignment with you, there isn't that relationship.
exactly. Yeah.
You're 100% spot on.
So it's the same. I'm sorry, I'm dealing with screen issues trying to broadcast this live here, so I'm seeing what's going on. Anyway, I think you can see I'm just looking at a screen at the side, and it's not. Anyway, let's see. 1 second. I'm trying to get this over. That's weird. Anyway, I think it's okay. I just don't see you. um, um, uh, Yeah, because resonance is about like meets like patterns, right? So if you have a similar kind of thought pattern as somebody else, a similar kind of way of life, a similar kind of way of doing things, a similar kind of way of relating to your spiritual nature, a similar kind of way, when you come into the presence of that person, because those are our patterns, our resonances, like anytime we repeat something on a regular basis, we're amplifying it within our own vibrational field. And so we as sensitive vibrational beings, when we come to the presence of someone else who has those same things amplified in their vibrational field, we will feel the resonance because they are geometric patterns that are oscillating, and we can feel our geometric patterns oscillating with their geometric patterns oscillating, and we say, hey, these are pretty similar, and we just feel the sense of expansion, of vibration, of growth, of empowerment, of strengthening of our own inner being. And so that's what resonance is. All of these things are frequencies. They're kind of harmonic geometric patterns that we are using as what is it? They're mediums for meaning for us. They're like vehicles for we sort of we in our psyche we attach meaning to these vibrational patterns, and it's how we experience life.
Well, it is. And this is the challenge with our speech in this modern era. We don't speak like Shakespeare anymore. We don't use these lovely vocabulary words that are so descriptive and enticing and illuminating, really. Oh God, these kids are now creating this whole other language. It's not even slang. I don't even know what it is. It does have a slang name to it. But when I hear these vibrations, and I've seen some TikTok videos, thank God my daughter doesn't do this, but it sounds ridiculous, and it almost makes me feel like I'm disassociating. I mean, I am disassociating from the conversation because I don't want to engage on that level. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel good on a frequency level, and thoughts become words, and words land in us in a vibratory way that affect our consciousness, our mood, our emotions. And people are so unconscious in speech.
Hmm.
We're not training children anymore to speak the way we used to. And kids aren't playing instruments the way, back in the day, all of our parents, I think, were learning to play instruments
Hmm.
and having to memorize these elaborate, eloquent speeches of great authors and philosophers,
Hmm.
right? We're losing this pulse on sound through our voice. I mean, what you're saying, I've never thought about the voice the way you described it through Infinitone, that we have all these notes in our cadence, in the rhythm of our speech, essentially, right? So
Yeah.
when you
Yeah. Exactly.
it's exactly what happens when we talk to water, right? If you say, I love you, the water creates these incredible images in Masaru Emoto's work that you can go and look this up. And I hate you, you're worthless. The water molecule comes apart. It's just like a blob. Whereas the one, I love you, you're beautiful, you're magnificent, it forms this snowflake. So that's what's happening on a daily basis to us. We're being scrambled.
Well, I think there's if I were to sort of technically break down how I theorize that it works, now these are all things that I think we're as a conscious beings learning more and more about as we get more sensitive, we become more interested in things. If I were to use a basic technological metaphor for how that works, it would be based on basically how radio works, which is essentially, if you have a radio, there's AM or FM. And those are short for amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. So essentially, what's happening is on a radio, there's a carrier wave, and if you've tune into your favorite radio station, 89.1 kilohertz or whatever, and essentially what that is, it's putting out a radio wave at that super super fast frequency, and but it's one frequency, right? It's one repetitive waveform. But what's happening is the way that it works is the modulation part is there's another waveform that's being carried on that. So whatever recording is being transmitted on that is actually, if you're watching the podcast and video, I'm going to move my finger. Essentially, a single sine wave is moving kind of up and down like this in a very slow pattern. But if you can modulate it, you can sort of keep it going up and down, but actually on that modulation pattern, dips and there's little dips and peaks on that wave. So it's imagine that like a waveform with those dips and peaks on it. So it's the same essential pattern. We recognize it as that frequency, but there's something which is disturbing it a little bit. And so what happens in a radio is essentially that math is decoded. It takes in that frequency and then brings those patterns which are encoded on that other wave down to a level in which we can actually hear them with our ears. And so waves are like that. They interfere with each other, and they create these within a single waveform. We can communicate so much more than what is actually being said. So I think about that with our voice, with music, with anything that we do, anything that we're transmitting. I could say, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen." Like that. I've just recently joined the circus. We were talking about
Oh, cool.
we were talking about what I've been up to the last week. Well, the last week I officially had a full performance in a circus called Gladius the Show here in Las Vegas. It's so much fun. I was in about 6 or 7 acts, and I happened to be the ringmaster for the evening as well. It was amazing. And so I've been thinking about that communication and voice and frequency like that, and what can be communicated in a simple thing. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. The show is about to begin. How I just said step right up, ladies and gentlemen. The show, whatever. But the way that I'm carrying myself, the way that I'm carrying my body, the way that I'm carrying the voice, the way that I'm carrying everything, transmits more than just the words, because on that sort of the carrier frequency and that carrier frequency of those basic sounds, those vowel patterns, those consonant patterns, that pattern which we recognize, which we formulate into language, there's so much that's being carried on that waveform. So many other things that are modulating it. So how my body is modulating it. Where the strength of my body, the weakness of my body, how my organs are functioning, how my heart's functioning, how my brain's functioning. Every single, am I healthy? Do I have a cold? Do I have, all those kinds of things are being resonated. And on top of that, what's being resonated into that sound is my mental state. Am I stressed? Am I calm? I feel that as a performer, one thing that I'm working on is being able to walk into, an arena filled, with hundreds and hundreds of people, and in an instant, with just a couple of words, capture their attention and make them feel calm and excited and focused all at the same time, just with a sentence. Like, how is that even possible? And I think what it is we're so much more sensitive and than we could possibly imagine. And so what you're talking about in terms of not having learned these great works of art is when if you learn that stuff, if you're standing on the shoulders of masters, if you're standing in the sort of golden lineage of human mastery and speaking from that state of knowledge, you are carrying with you in every single one of your words the mastery and the beauty and the presence of that, even if you're not using those words per se. It's still going with you in everything that you do. So it is a shame that on some level that we've been cut off from this lineage of human mastery. And I think it's really the only way to move forward is to be in touch with all that's come before, and then move forward from the past, because move forward from the past into the future. Because I actually think the past creates the future. It's like I think there's a future that exists for us, and the only way for that future to exist is for that past to also exist. So if we're disassociating from the past, we're also disassociating from the future, and we're not able to fully live to our full potentiality of existence as humans.
You're spot on. And I think this is where trauma healing is so important, and where I think
Mm-hmm.
sounds really critical in trauma healing. Because when you find people that are stuck in the past, they cannot unfold the future in a way that they want. They kind of always feel like they're compromising, like, oh, they sound like Eeyore, right? I mean, I I don't want to come across to anybody who's struggling with something in the past and make them feel bad in this moment, because we all get stuck, entangled in
Yeah.
the web of regret, remorse, revenge, anger, whatever it is that pulls us in the past. And you can look at it on a philosophical level, the wars, the strife of yore, etc., that doesn't transition into a bright future that we hope for.
Hmm.
Our relationship to the past is what shapes our relationship to the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And consciousness, the sound, the photons, all of it works together to create our experience. And so we are the creators. We are, I mean, we all are, in essence, the microcosm of the macrocosm, which means we are a part of creator, right? God
Yeah.
creates everything, but we also are God. So our consciousness, that's it. We get to form future from past. And
Mhm.
that's why they say there really is no past, present, or future. It's
Yeah.
all in the now.
Especially now, as where we're coming from in our consciousness, I really feel like there's just like this quantum nowness, which the past and the future are all informing each other in the moment. It's amazing. I had a very simple experience recently, I think, which I would like to relate, which I think might help make this more relatable and tangible. This whole concept is um, a friend of mine who is an ex special forces member, who's very about self defense and things like he gifted me with a knife. He said, "Subhraag, you should carry this wherever you go because you never know when you're going to need a knife." And it's a very good knife. It's very sharp, folds up, fits in my bag. It's great. I like it. I use it all the time for various things. Um, and I keep it in my bag that I carry with all the time. It's fine. And one time I just go to reach in my bag to grab my wallet, and I feel this sharp cutting sensation in my finger, and I reach out, and I'm like not screaming in pain. I was like, "Ah, what has happened?" And I look at my finger, and it's cut wide open, and it's bleeding profusely. And what happened was the knife had come open in my bag, and it cut me. And so I was like, I'm very much into right now this notion that anything that bad happened or anything that happens at all is a learning experience. So I think, why did that happen? What am I learning from this? And so I went on this journey for the week, or it's turned into weeks or months now since that incident of what I was learning. And what I noticed at first, the very first thing that I noticed post that incident, is every time that I reach into a bag, I tense up. Before putting my hand into that bag, I'm like, oh, what's going to happen now in that bag? And so I was like, wow, that's the trauma response. That was every time that we've had something traumatic that's happened to us in our past. Every time there is again, it goes back to that resonance, right? It's like our brains recognizes similar kinds of things. So I could be putting my hand into that same bag, or I could be putting my hand into another bag, like my backpack, or anything that has a sort of a small kind of inner pocket. And I've noticed ever since then, every time I put my hand into a small inner pocket kind of thing, my body tenses up, and I realize like, okay, well, that's actually a great blessing because I shouldn't just be reaching my hand blindly without any sort of sense perception into a bag because who knows what's going to be in that bag? There could be a knife, there could be a needle, there could be a toothpick. I've cut my hand on toothpicks before. So every time I'm going into the dark and going into a place where I don't know what's in there, I don't know what's shifted around, I should have some level of consciousness to know what's in there. Now, the extreme form of trauma is to not learn from that. Is to you just can't put your hand in a bag anymore because that first experience was so traumatic that you never want to repeat that experience again. So I think the whole notion of trauma is, wow, these things are great blessings. You go into a relationship, you get abused. Then okay, that relationship is done. Well, you don't want to necessarily forget it. You don't want to take that pattern and place that on all other humans, thinking, well, that relationship was abusive, so I think all of the other relationships are going to be abusive, and therefore I'm going to avoid relationships, or I'm going to. But you can use that as a sort of a gentle patterning device to help you avoid any red flags or any sort of warning signs of relationships that might lead in that direction and help guide you to places that actually might be more healthy and healing in a you know, a positive relationship. So that's kind of how I've been seeing the that knife cut incident, is just noticing that any of these traumas that we have, any place that we have pain, ideally what we do as humans is we process them. We have an authentic relationship with it where we learn from it, but we don't let it hold us back from future experiences of putting my hand in a bag.
Acquire the wisdom of experience, right?
And now I have a rubber band around that knife. I still keep it in my bag, but there's a rubber band around it so it doesn't pop open.
Yeah. Yeah. So very
Simple
wise.
solution. Yeah,
But also, I mean, that's such a great example of how the past informs the future.
yeah,
I mean, it really is. But I do feel that when it comes to specifically trauma, I really feel that sound can carry us out of it.
absolutely.
I mean, there's I'm not a huge fan of psychiatry, psychology, speaking about the problems over and over and over again. And I think going back to, to your point of the resonance of our voices,
Mhm.
um, and then the words that we choose to use when we're talking about something that has fear or anger or rage, or regret, whatever it is that's rooted in that trauma experience, we're recreating that experience every time we talk about it.
Yeah,
Using the
absolutely.
words, the emotion. I mean, you talk about your stage presence and wanting to create calm and excitability at one time. But that's the thing, when you're speaking out of a fearful place, that fear resonates to the crowd.
Yeah.
If you're speaking out of a calm place, but yet you're excited and on the edge,
Yes. Yes.
that is so palpable. And so this is the thing that people don't realize. It's the same thing as that I see with AA. It's that every time that people get up and my name is Hilda and I'm an alcoholic, I have just reinformed my psyche, my soul, that I am insert negative pattern. And it's
Mm.
the same thing with the sound resonance, right? Like when you hear yourself saying, this traumatic event happened to me. Now I'm a victim all over again. Now my brain is experiencing the fear pattern all over again. How do we get out of it? Well, if you can attach to a sound, I mean, this is why I bring sound into a lot of my work. I'm either playing it through these, speakers or through sound bowls, because people don't fix their mind on the past. Their brain is focused on the sounds that they're perceiving in that moment. And
Mm.
sounds are quite neutral. You know, it's fun. Well, this set is 432, but I have another set over here that's 528. And I really do feel that when we're working with trauma, the 528 being the frequency of love lifts it's like alchemizes the fear into love. So alchemizing that fear within the body into a potential of love totally shifts the consciousness of the experience.
Well, I would like to maybe I showed you a couple of things. Maybe you could show, play some of the your sounds that you feel transmit those kinds of feelings. I think that I think there's two factors that are involved in that. Again, it's about relationship. It's about relationship, but also sound being a carrier frequency. And so you being a healer, it's like you instead of administering a medicine to the body with a syringe or something like that. The medicine is actually, I believe, your consciousness, your vibration, your vibrational field, and the love essentially that you're carrying. Um, I was froze for a second. Am I? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I believe that what's happening is you as a healer, and the reason why that people are experiencing that with what you're doing is you are in a state of love. You're in a state of clarity, in a state of being healed, and in a heart coherent
Yes.
state, essentially. And so those sounds, being gentle and beautiful, and like you said, kind of neutral, are actually being used as carrier waves for your conscious intent to what you're doing. So I don't necessarily believe that the whole notion, and also I think there's something in the numerological field and the sort of the collective psyche of humanity at this moment in time, which has somehow attached a meaning to these different frequencies, 528 hertz and 432, through numerological connections, because we could have a different unit of measurement. Like I said, if it could, a second could be less than a second, or it could be more than a second, and then you could say, well, it's 528 Hildas, and it's actually higher or lower in frequency. But I think somehow collectively, and I don't quite understand this, and I would like to understand more. Somehow collectively, we have attached that frequency 528 to meaning love. And I don't know how it works, but I think somehow it's just in our collective consciousness. So when we hear that frequency and then you connect your own healing abilities with those tones, that's what's being transmitted. I don't think it's so much in the it's a medium for consciousness. I don't think the magic is in the frequencies themselves, from what I my experiences and what I understand. But I do believe that it works. So
Yeah, well, I do too, but I'm very happy to hear you say that because I really do think they're all healing. I mean,
yeah,
if you go onto these playlists on Spotify and you can put in any hertz and a playlist comes up and you start playing with them, I feel great when I listen to any of them. You know? I mean,
if you
963, 369, 528, 432, it doesn't really matter. It's I think you're right. It's not about the hertz, it's about the intention. But then it's about the performer. It's about the person who's making the sound. I mean,
carrier frequencies, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think
And
that's right.
also if you play a gong, for example, there's a couple kinds of sounds. There's inharmonic sounds and there's harmonic sounds. So an inharmonic sound is something more like metallic in nature, or something that is non that has a non-resonant body, like the snapping of a twig, or the banging of a vibraphone, or the banging of a gong. They don't have harmonic frequencies, and something like a gong contains all frequencies. Essentially, it's a noise, and noise patterns are patterns that contain essentially all frequencies, but in different balances. So there's pink noise, there's white noise. I think white noise contains frequencies, from what I understand, that they're all of the same level. So it's all frequencies, all of the same level. Pink noise has the different noises, like brown noise, pink noise. They have different curves to them, where the higher frequencies will sort of be uh, tapered off in terms of their amplitude over over the spectrum. So if we hear a noise, if I hear a breath sound, for example, I go that contains all the frequencies. It contains 432, it contains 528, it contains 136.937.
Wow.
It can, but because if it's being a carrier wave for my essence, if I breathe, there's a sense of direct intimacy and connection to what I'm saying, what I'm speaking, what I'm doing, and it's very intimate
Yes.
and very calming. And so those contain all the frequencies. There's 440 in there, I guarantee it. Even though that's supposed to be evil, so
Right. It's supposed to be. Yeah.
supposed to be. That's what they say. I don't believe them.
But it's interesting. God, I love this conversation so much. I get so excited about this because it really comes back to how empowered we are.
Yeah,
It puts the power in the observer's
yeah,
hands. We are the creator. The observer is the creator. When we are conscious about our actions, we are the ones making the shift. It's not the instrument, whatever that may be, right? I mean, yeah, for artists, it's you can clay, watercolor, oil painting. It doesn't really matter. It's the person behind the.
exactly. It's the consciousness with every instrument. If I play saxophone, is different from how John Coltrane plays it, different from how Sonny Rollins plays it. It's the same instrument, same tone, same frequencies, but because of it being a carrier wave for our consciousness, it shifts.
Which is so fascinating. Well, I've got a metal gong here. So just to for people who aren't, aware of what that sound really sounds like, but it is all the sounds in one. So see if you can hear this from there.
You may want to put on original sound for musicians if you know how to do that, because otherwise it'll filter it out.
Can you hear that?
No, Zoom is filtering it. So if you do you know how to put on original sound?
I don't.
There's a couple of ways. It depends on what you have in the settings. Like in the upper right hand corner, there's something it's called original sound for musicians. Do you see that?
No,
You have that setting. Okay, you can go to settings. You go to audio.
I am looking for settings.
Are you on a computer or on a phone?
I'm on a computer.
Okay.
I'm just so bad with technology.
If you click on Zoom and the in the bar on the upper, on the top of your screen, it should be
Oh, there's settings,
like
yes.
mine says, it says Zoom. Mine says Zoom Workplace, and then I have the drop-down menu and I go to settings.
So if I go to audio on that,
Yeah, then you go to audio and you scroll down, and an audio profile, it says original sound for musicians, and you can activate that.
oh, there you go. Great.
And then click all of those things: high fidelity music, echo cancellation, stereo audio.
Great. Perfect. Click
Um,
them all.
and then in the upper corner of your Zoom screen, you should see something that says original sound for musicians off, and then click that and make sure you turn it on.
Okay, it's on.
Yeah, now we should hear the gong.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Now I need to close the settings. Okay. All right, so let's see if you can hear this.
Yes.
Great. So I'll bring it a little lower and you can see. And just the experience of that versus a traditional drum, as you were saying, you feel that it's grounding, right?
Mhm. Beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But then if you compare that to the crystal bowls, so it's so healing. And
Yeah.
they're all so different, but they have the same effect essentially. I mean, it's healing our bodies from the inside out. It's calling us into presence. I mean,
Mm.
it's very hard when I'm in a sound journey, a recipient in particular, to trail off. I'm
Mm.
constantly being brought back to the sound and the vibration of it.
Mm.
So I think that there is something about the sound itself, very much so. But then you hear these, let's compare that to Vienna Boys Choir.
Mm.
I mean, to walk into a symphony hall and hear the sound of Vienna's Boys Choir.
Mm.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Or monks chanting.
Yeah.
It's, I feel there's something so much more profound on a soul level that's elevating my consciousness when I hear humans together making
Yeah.
these sounds. So
Yeah.
this is just me playing this. You get multiple people playing these instruments, and it's so much more prophetic.
Absolutely. What I'd like to do, one of my goals is to start a choir of angels.
Oh, I love that.
Because I would like is I would one of my dreams is actually, I'm just putting it out there now, is to find a group of young people, children, who are of the soul calling to study harmonics from an early age. So instead of being trained on the patterns of the tempered scale, which creates chaotic resonance patterns in the body, incoherent waveforms, I would like to find some young people who are interested in formulating the foundation of their consciousness, their foundation of their musical sensibilities on coherent waveforms, so harmonic waveforms. And I just imagine leading choirs of angels who sing in profound angelic harmony, and we can bring the music of the angels to earth. I think Vienna Boys Choir would be amazing to work with. I've been listening to them. I mean, whatever versions of them were available when I was
Yeah.
7 years old. My mom used to play the Vienna Boys Choir Christmas album all the time,
Me too.
and so yeah, there's something way more powerful. So the music that I do, the demos that I made, those are synthesized tones, which are good for demonstration purposes and for some kinds of music playing. They're nice because they're precise and so that they can be used for study and sort of mathematical precision. The sounds that you played are organic. I particularly like the gong. I felt this amazing heart opening and chest opening. I felt like my angel wings sprouted, and I love the gong, and the drum also was just very very powerful. Sometimes in drumming and shamanistic drumming, that's actually used to not be grounded. Like you vacate, you go to your astral, you know, it can be used to create trance too. And the singing bowls are also very, very pure sounding. And so I think what I was thinking about with the singing bowls is it's sort of bringing us back to something that's just like a simplified existence.
Yes.
Just to a simple, beautiful sound itself, without anything extraneous, without anything chaotic, without anything pulling your attention here and there, and just has just enough sort of organic, pure, resonant sound that it brings us back to a state of just simple beingness. And I think what you were saying about all these things being communicated in sound, I believe personally that new social and political structures, the best way to transmit them is through harmonic resonance patterns that embody those social structures.
Mm.
And I believe that humanity will start to shift very quickly in consciousness when our popular music shifts. So
Yes.
if we have harmony, if we have melody, if we have intention, if we have all those things which are completely embodied in the sound, we won't have to convince anybody of anything. We won't have to try and create, like, tear down the old system or create the new system. It's just those patterns, those ways of being, those ways of feelings will be automatically integrated into our psyche because we'll just download them instantly. Uh, it'll be vertical learning as opposed to horizontal learning. We won't have to do stuff over time. We just get stuff through instantaneous transmission. And I think you're absolutely right. I agree that sound is the future in transmitting all of those things. But the conscious intention and the awareness of those things have to be fully embodied and realized by the musicians who are creating them.
Well, and this is the challenge, right? So long as they keep getting handed record labels and fame and glory,
Yeah.
and continue selling their souls, essentially, it's and that's the thing. It's weird. That is why I keep coming back to this. We are at a choice point.
Yeah.
Humanity is at the choice point, and it is now. It is right now. And either we choose the organic or we choose the synthetic. And the synthetic is connected to the matrix. It's exactly what you're talking about. This chaotic resonance with all these musicians, these modern music essentially, which
Oh yeah,
doesn't feel good.
if you go on New Music Friday on Spotify and
Yeah.
just listen to the vibrational feeling that you get from each of those songs, it is disgusting. I mean, this is coming from somebody who listens to everything. I'm a complete music omnivore. I've
Yeah.
listened to everything. I'm open to everything.
Yeah.
And from decades past, I mean, all over the world, and just the vibrational field that's created on the New Music Fridays today. I'm sorry, it's it's disgusting.
It is. I
And
mean,
so
it is.
I think everybody knows that though. That's too, and I think once we finally get to the place where we're just fully ready for the new sound, it will, because of the hunger of the soul where we're at right now for the resonant feel. I think it's gonna just I think it's we're going to reach a point where there's a point of no return,
Yes.
where it's just going to explode everywhere.
Yeah.
And so,
And it's up to us, right? I mean, we
yeah.
are we are the creators. You just made me think about pentatonics.
Hmm.
I loved listening to pentatonics.
Oh yeah.
what their voices were capable of. And you could take a song that I may not personally care for, lyrics that I may not be aligned with,
Yeah.
right? But you hear them sing it. And
Yeah.
it's a totally different feeling within my
Oh yeah.
body and within my heart. It's like my soul singing along with them, right? Rather than like Shallow. I am not a Lady Gaga fan, just putting that out there.
Mhm.
I think she's vile. I really do. I mean, I send her love because I know that her choices that she makes, it's rooted in trauma. It's
Yeah.
definitely rooted in deep, dark trauma. Um, but when I hear her sing Shallow versus Pentatonics singing Shallow, it's night and day for me. I will choose the organic voices of this synchronized humanity in sync is what that sounds like to me, which is an elevated consciousness.
I heard them live like about a year ago. No, it was longer than that. It was like a year, maybe
Before
2 years.
they split up.
They split up recently?
I thought so, yeah.
Maybe they came back together. I'm not
Did they
sure.
come back together?
Maybe they came back. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway, I heard them a couple years ago,
yeah.
and, and my impression of their live show was there was some points of the show where they were separated on stage and they
Uh,
were dancing and they're doing their, their pop kind of thing. And they were listening probably through ear monitors and through separated sound and through sort of a processed, mechanized live sound concept. And they were dancing and moving and whatever. And then in the middle of the show, or maybe two-thirds into it, they were like, okay, now we're going to do some of our old classics or whatever. And we're going to sit together, stool, and right next to each other and then listen. And the experience was night and day. One
wow.
was I could not stand it. Like I literally like could not wait for it to be over. And the second was like I could listen to this all night long. And the difference was what we come back to just listening. They were finally when they were sitting on the stools next to each other, they were listening and responding. They were living and breathing, and it was like this one living organic organism which they created. But in their sort of bigger show production stuff, people were responding to, oh, I listened to that pop song in 1994. I listened to that pop song in 2001. I remember the time when I was, went to my high school prom and I was dancing to that, and so it was like more of like a nostalgia nonsense thing. But then when they sang, and then they did an encore, which is like completely acoustic. They turn off the mics and there's like they let their voices resonate in the whole. It was an outdoor stadium, and that was even better. It's like, why don't they do that the whole time?
Wow. It's so fascinating, but you bring up a very important point. And that is that sound, when we speak, listening, you have to be listening while you're speaking almost. You have to, if you really want to be captivating,
Yeah.
you have to listen to the nuances of the crowd, the nuances of each other. And this is where the throat chakra is just as much about listening patiently rather
Mm.
than just waiting for your turn to talk, right? But it's almost the listening piece is more important when you really tune into healing the throat chakra, something I spent years doing when I lost my voice.
Mm.
I had to learn to listen, and that is really what it took getting my voice back.
Wow.
Listening.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that is in the Japji Sahib, which is the morning prayer of the Sikhs. I've mentioned it numerous times. There's four stanzas that are just dedicated to the power of listening. And it's like see if I can. It's hard to do it out of context. Suniya Sid Pir Sunat, Suniya Dharat Tabalka, Suniya Deep Lo Patal, Suniya Poena Sakekal, Nanak Bhagata Sada Vega, Suniya Duk Pap Kanas, Suniya Sat Santokyan, Suniya Art Sar Kaisanan, Suniya Par Par Paveman, Suniya Lagay Sehjdian, Nanak Bhagata Sada Vega, Suniya Duk Pap Kanas. So it's talking about how just all of these aspects of consciousness and enlightenment are awakened through listening. And it says the end line, which repeats in each of those four stanzas, which I did like slightly out of line because I'm used to doing it from start to finish. I don't never I don't like pick
It's
it out.
amazing.
But it says Nanak Bhagata Sada Vegas. Nanak is the reciter of the poem, so it's part of the poetic form, as they say. Me, who is writing the poem, says, um, Nanak Bhagata, the Bhagats, the devotees of the Guru, the devotees of the divine, remain ever blossoming. Nanak Bhagata Sada. Sada means always Vigas. Vigas is always in bloom, always in springtime. Surya, listening. Duk, which means pain. Surya Duk Pop, all of the impurities of your consciousness. It's usually translated to sin, but it's more like I would say it's incoherent waveforms.
Yeah,
um,
perfect.
Surya Duk Pop Kanas. It all just goes away and vanishes through listening, through deep listening.
Oh, how beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm completely blown away. And it's so interesting just listening to you share that. I feel so calm.
Well, it's again talking about it goes. There's so many things that are tied into if they're all we're talking about, and this is it's going into diving into the wealth of the great human masters that have left their mark on this planet. And these songs, again, the resonance. So resonance is something that's repeated over and over and over again by by yourself, by a group, by a culture, by a consciousness. And this is a poetic song that is repeated by Sikhs all over the world. And so when we're listening, we're not only listening to how many thousands and thousands of times I've repeated those words, how many, tuning back to the original essence of this, this Satguru, this enlightened master who spoke out of the place of soul consciousness and lit the flame of the soul of so many people who've forgotten through time. And we keep returning to it over and over and over again. And every time I return to that, even just now, repeating that, I have a different feeling of it's revealing a new facet of consciousness. It's blooming in a new way for me. And so at the same time, in repeating something over and over again, we're actually revealing new facets of that thing. If it's coming from soul consciousness, I could repeat one mantra, Vaheguru, 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 over and over and over, millions and millions of times. It would never be the same. It would never, but it's the same word, but because it's coming from the place of the soul, then it's tapping us into the essence of creativity and consciousness itself, and is a carrier wave for an ever expanding level of love and and higher vibrational consciousness.
Oh yeah, mic drop. Woo! Can I get an amen?
Speaking of that,
Wow.
I do have to go now. Where
We did. Yeah.
the circus, the gladiator show, we're going to Trader Joe's parking lot. And we're bringing three horses with him. There's the guy, the main guy does Roman riding, so he stands on two draft horses, those massive horses which are like above head level, and he rides them around. There'll be another lady driving a horse, and I'm going to play saxophone in my ringmaster costume, and we're just going to go hand out flyers. A couple of weeks ago, we ordered Starbucks, and my video of that in my TikTok, went viral, and um,
So amazing. Oh, well, have so much fun. Congratulations. I'm so psyched for you. And thank you for today. Thank you so much.
thank you, Hilda. I think I really enjoy our conversations. I feel like we have this sort of similar kind of resonant pattern, but we have also so much different kinds of life experiences that I feel is completely this enriching expansion every time that I talk with you. I feel like I'm on this amazing, conscious adventure in consciousness every time that we connect, and I never know what's going to happen. I never know what's going to come up, and it's always amazing. And it's just such a joy to talk and connect with you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so, so, so much. You're amazing.
You're amazing.
I'll see you next week. I can't wait.
Thanks,
I'm
Hilda.
already
Yeah. All right,
excited.
me too.
Oh, bye.
Bye.